Hello there, I am Fearnot and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I really want to highlight how great K-pop was this summer, in the form of my top 15 K-pop tracks. When I say K-pop, I really do mean K-pop or anything quite ambiguous to that, so don't expect Gets High or Girl Set on this list, but I'll briefly talk about them too. And to prevent any confusion, the list is also limited to one entry per artist to make it more interesting and diverse. I usually do these kinds of videos on TikTok, but with this list in particular, I decided that I have a lot more to say about these K-pop groups, soloists, albums, EPs, and also Song of the Year candidates. So let's get to the actual video. One of the reasons why I also wanted to make this list into a video is because it's top 15. So automatically you could think that the 15th song is not really all that great. However, that couldn't be further from the truth, because these 15 were chosen from hundreds and hundreds of other candidates and came on top. So even a song like Hot Sauce that I've been listening to throughout the entirety of the summer and was actually my most listened song of July, had a very tough competition and ended up landing in 15th place. I already talked about how obsessed I get with every Baby Monster release, and Hot Sauce definitely wasn't an exception. I'm not a music expert to list cite all of the song's possible inspirations and influences, but I don't really need any of that to decipher that its energetic and fun sound make the song super infectious and leaving you replaying it over and over again, or at least from my experience. I'm so glad Rora is getting more lines and spotlight in this one, and I think her pre-chorus is definitely one of the best parts of the song, or at least my favorites, as well as the outro, which are both amazing. However, I'm growing more and more concerned about Rami, so I hope she gets better soon and will be able to come back. You know I got the shit that you like, so come on with me, run up, jump. In the 14th place, we have Blackpink with Jump. I don't even know where to start in connection with this song, because there are so many factors against it, but against all odds, it's such a banger. I absolutely adore how every single member sounds on it. The production is everything to me, and I have to appreciate, in my eyes, a very successful attempt to branch out their sounds while staying true to their characteristic Blackpink baddie energy. As a pretty stereotypical Slavic person, of course I love the instrumental in the chorus, and I'm just disappointed that I haven't really heard it that much, or probably at all, this summer. There were quite a few opportunities, and it's sad to see them wasted like that. On the other hand, the conditions of it chaotically coming out in the middle of their tour, with little to no promotions, and it being the only released song, it didn't really all quite work in its favor. But I also realized that I do not really stand Blackpink anymore. So it isn't any higher because I think I quite lost my bias for them as a group. It doesn't mean that I hate them or their music. This couldn't be further from the truth. But I just don't really feel the special connection I did before. But I still hope their future is very bright, even though it is pretty uncertain at this point. Baby, Number 13 is Overkill by Joe Yuri. Before I talk about the song, what I definitely would call an overkill is how much time it took to get this EP. However, I get that I'm in a minority and most people probably do care about Squid Game, which I'm happy for her success in it. But me personally, I'm definitely not the type of guy to watch it. I always get super anxious and just don't enjoy it because of it. So The only benefit of her participation in it is that I can now have her on my profile picture on Netflix, and that's great, you know. But I'm glad we finally got new music from her. The EP as a whole, episode 25, is great because obviously it has Joyer's vocals, but the only song that really stuck with me over the summer was definitely Overkill. I really couldn't care less that it's a full English song. I think that also worked to its benefit because I could remember the lyrics way better. And her English is actually great, but the song itself is just so infectious. It reminds me of the Wicked Love Vienna, and I love that era of hers. So it really was just a great match for me personally. I absolutely adore the production, the darker scenes, and obviously the main attraction is again Choyuri's voice, but I think she really shines in this. So I would love if we get more similar songs like Overkill in the future.
Give me the X, give me the O, give me the LOVE. 누르면 다, I want it all. XOXD.
Give me the X, give me the O, give me the LOVE. Don't give me I, stronger than that for the song of the year. Well, almost. One thing about me is that I adore IVE, and now that I finally see them live, I can certainly say that they are not only one of my favorite fourth gen groups, but also girl groups in general. They are quite a talented group, considering both vocals and performance skills, but I would say their biggest strength lies in their discography and artistry, which are both very impressive, especially in this day and age. I've Secret is definitely one of my favorite EPs this year because it not only provides consistency and very interesting, bit different sound than usual, which however fits very well with their concept and is kind of a return to formula to their posh, untouchable, ethereal roots. My favorite songs on it would be Wild Bird and also Gotcha in parentheses, Paris Arrows, but my favorite overall would definitely be XOXC. And I knew it from the first time I've heard it that it's a banger, an absolute banger. But with each time I heard it again, I did still love it, but I've seen some aspects that could be a bit improved on. The biggest one of them being how hollow and empty the track feels in some places. And I totally get that it all adds to the mystery and secret, which are the concepts of the albums, but it just lacks that typical I've soul that Love Dive or 11 before had. And you could argue that it's the fiction influence of very easy to listen to songs. However, I don't think it's that simple. And if it really is, please bring back the aespa I knew and fell in love with. And although I have my personal critiques about the song itself, that doesn't mean that it's not great already. It is. And from my love and adoration for it, I can see its flaws, which however don't make it any less deserving of the 12th spot on this list. The 11th spot is occupied by the Perky Queens with VVV. Although Do Re Mi wasn't the typical mysterious Purple Kiss title track, the rest of the I Miss My EP was pretty much on point with their B-sides. And that is a real compliment, because Purple Kiss B-sides are some of the most underappreciated in the whole K-pop industry. And it's all the more upsetting, not only because their career will sadly come to an end this year, but also because they have such diversity among them. Not only do they have very bright songs, which contrast really well with their usual style, such as Edge It, Intro Crash, Heart Attack, or now VVV. However, the biggest gem of their discography are definitely their beautiful ballads, such as very recent Lost and Found, Light the Way, or my personal favorite Voyager. Unfortunately for them, their ballads also work like a double-edged sword in a sense that they are so beautiful and moving that I very often cry to them. And since that's not something I would want to do regularly, let alone in public, I don't listen to them as much. And so the song of theirs that really stuck with me this summer was VVV. In nature, there's not anything really special or outstanding about it, but I think that it's definitely a part of its charm. It's easily digestible, very pleasant and soothing to the ear, perfectly fitting for the warm and sunny weather, and overall, it's a fun and positive, very well produced song with Purple Kiss vocals on them. What more could I ask on paper? Probably not much, but in reality, its simplicity is the exact aspect that holds it back a little bit, and so there are 10 songs that I would prefer over this one.
Someone like you, someone like 또 다른 난 갖고 싶어 friend like me.
The 10th spot goes to my favorite rookie this year, If with their B-side, Friend Like Me. First of all, I've really enjoyed their first EP this year, Heirloom Blue, and I really had Nerdy on repeat. That was my jam. To this day, I think it's my favorite song of theirs, but Sweet Fang is also a great EP. Although I have to admit, I didn't quite get Are You Okay at first listen. Right now, I adore every song on the EP. It's like twice longer than the previous one, so it's weird to call both of these project EPs. However, that's how they are officially labeled, so who am I to judge? My other favorites on the Sweet Fang EP would be especially Say Moo, but literally every other song is great. Particularly Echo is such a beautiful album closer. But Friend Like Me stuck with me the most this summer. It's a very bright, upbeat, and nostalgic sounding kind of song. And I think I've actually added it to most of my playlist because it really helps to bring my energy up, and every struggle I have to deal with just seems way more manageable, which I really appreciate. I'm super excited about the amount of recognition that this release has brought them, and I hope they only continue to grow and explore different sounds and styles because they are a very intriguing group, which makes me really looking forward to whatever their future projects might be. Next spot belongs to Even, with my favorite B-side on their newest EP, Love Anecdotes, Put It On Me. I find it very intriguing that this song would fit perfectly into their Hot Mess mini album, which is the previous one released earlier this year, and that's literally one of my favorites when it comes to boy groups in 2025. And I'm so excited to see it live on tour, and the same goes for Put It On Me. Honestly, I feel like even we're destined to make this kind of music because I've always associated Park Hanbin with the same style as the Switch performance, and this is basically an extension of that. When I talk about this style of music, I always say that it's the kind of music I wish NCT Dream would make because that's why I fell in love with their music. Hello Future, they speak to me. However, I don't mean it in a derogatory way, it's just that their new releases are usually not for me. Except for Moonlight, I absolutely love that one. But back to Even, Put It On Me is such an amazing, bright and fun song, which is kind of becoming a pattern with the few songs I just talked about and don't expect it to end anytime soon. But it's also very well produced. I absolutely love how all of their voices blend together, not only with one another, but also with the instrumental, and it just scratches my brain in all the right ways. So I love it.
Baby, you make me smile. 네 스타일은 다 맞아. 그게
The A spot goes to Style by Taylor Swift, I mean Hearts to Hearts. So if I ever call someone out for switching up on a group, hold me accountable. Hold me the fuck accountable. Because the way these 15 groups make me feel like Tate McRae, since I keep changing my mind so much I can't find it, it's kinda crazy. If you've been keeping up with my videos, you probably know how I started to see the vision with Meow after their Toxic single album. However, with Hearts to Hearts, it was quite different because I would blame it all on Spotify, since I didn't really care about them that much because at the point of their debut, I was quite overwhelmed with so many new releases, and so I didn't really care about the most recent rookie groups. And so, even though I've only seen the Chase MV like one time before, Spotify kept shoving it into my autoplay until it really grew on me. And you could probably compare that to Butterflies and Style as well. But the main difference is that I really loved Style on first listen because it felt like a clear proof that they are not just trying to be this cookie cutter perfect ordinary, easy to listen to, even quote unquote boring stereotypical 15 group, or at least that's how many K-pop stans nowadays seem to think of 15, which is just blatantly wrong for the most part. But back to Hearts, Style works as an evidence that they have this 50-50 potential. And you know what? That's a lot more that I can say about many other newer groups. So, in short, I really like their style and I hope that they keep it for a while. The seventh place is rightfully occupied by Kira's with Ziller. And honestly, they are such a breath of fresh air. And I know that this term might be overused, especially in 4th and 5th gen, but they bring back the energetic and bright sound I really missed from Classy and mix it up together with that Yeehaw Espa flavor. And that might just be exactly what I wanted from K-pop this year, since Classy or Lightsome are not really active and Espa music has become way more low-key. Kira's and their energetic songs, which are unapologetically K-pop in both soundscape and visuals, just prove to represent exactly why I fell in love with K-pop, and also why I'm nowhere near changing that. And I don't want to say that the huge wave of K-pop stans that just are quite disinterested in K-pop this year or for past few months is overreacting. Their feelings are very valid. I don't want to disregard that. However, if their main issue is how allegedly similar all the 15 groups are and the music lacking diversity among different releases, I think some of them might not be looking as deep as they think they are. So, what I'm trying to say is that I would really appreciate if you gave Kiras a chance if this sounded interesting to you. Because not only do they have great songs, but also really talented members, both vocally and performance wise. And I just gotta support my girl Ling Ling. I'm so happy for her because she really shines. This time, Kepler finished just one spot short of the top 5 with Ice-T. And honestly, that's higher than I expected because I will admit Bubblegum is probably my least favorite EP of theirs. It's not that the songs are bad, but the bar is very high when it comes to Kepler B-sides, and I didn't really enjoy all of the others, except Ice-T. That's a banger. So let's get into it. I'd say the reasons why I love this song and why I really appreciate it is pretty similar to what I've already said about Kiras. Actually, I would say Zilla and Ice-T are pretty much on a similar level. It's just that I'm biased, I do love Kepler more. And so that also applies to their vocal tones and delivery. I adore the contrasting dynamic between the chants and background vocals in the chorus, and the bridge and finale of the song are just chef's kiss. In general, I'd say I really enjoyed this era. Unfortunately, Yongun didn't participate, but at least we got some great Hye and Eugene lines, and I loved how Xiaoting used Boys to Planet as a chance to promote bubblegum, even though she was almost exclusively only in Planet C. That's just queen behavior.
I live two lives, try to pick both sides, but I couldn't find my own place. Caught a pet black child, 'cause I got too wild.
And speaking about queen behavior, the fifth place belonged to the only girl group who has been able to achieve a #1 hit on Billboard Hot 200 in the past 20 years. That's actually insane. But not the song, that's Golden by Huntrix, obviously. However, it is insane because what do you mean a franchise I thought would be my little guilty pleasure is such a global phenomenon and a cultural spectacle that it really has no other competitors in all of its categories. So if we're talking about actual relevance, Golden and any other song on the K-pop Demon Hunters soundtrack should be at #1. And it's so weird to me because of course I've seen it on my For You page on any platform, but that's because I was really interested in it in the first place, so I didn't really get the full scope of their impact until I saw our neighbors' kids being absolutely obsessed with it, especially Soda Pop. So if the universe was real, their souls would be gone in a second. However, I think the real demons here would be the AI slop songs I've heard them listen to before the KDH came out. Anyways, back to Golden. I think my relationship with it is so special because, of course, I am a dive, so I can see the I am comparisons. And I'm very glad that they chose this route for their quintessential I Want song, even though it's not really the true one in this movie. Because obviously, it works. Like, if you don't think Golden was definitely one of the candidates for Song of the Summer, then what are we even talking about? No matter what, K-pop Demon Hunters will definitely go down in history for their excellence in so many areas. And one of those is definitely the portrayal of K-pop stans. Because I remember the scene of Golden premiere from the movie, and at the time I had goosebumps. I had tears in my eyes. I was absolutely into it and completely mesmerized. So why isn't it higher, you ask? Because I'm still obsessed and I really, really overplayed it. However, that doesn't take anything away from what I previously said.
You gotta la 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 me. Alright, you make me high.
As always, Vivici didn't fail to deliver and ended up fourth with La La Love Me. There's a very good reason these divas are on the thumbnail, and the main one being their consistency. Of course, this might be a bit of a subjective take, but I mean, the whole concept of this video is based on my opinions, so I'm gonna present it as such. With that said, I really do think that there's no other group that had such an excellent title track run. The only single of theirs I wouldn't call top tier was Ram Pam Pam, and that wasn't even a real title track. Other than that, their title tracks always felt like a real deal event and created whole eras around them, which I find quite rare in K-pop these days. However, if we're talking about what I was listening to through this summer, it was definitely K-pop Demon Hunters, then this whole a montage of album, and after that, mainly Bite Me by Renee Rapp. Right now, my go-to album is Man's Best Friend by Sabrina Carpenter, but I will talk about that some other time. What I'm trying to get into is that I wouldn't really call myself a VVG stan just yet, but I'm as close to that as I really could be. because I love their music. I would absolutely adore to see them on tour, but that's not really an option right now, so hopefully in the future. But they do tend to make Cantibobs perfectly catered to my taste, and I have to appreciate that. My other favorites from this album would be Love Language, which is Omchi's solo, and she's my bias, so that's very understandable. And if that somehow wasn't enough, it's also written by Alina Smith of Lyre Music Group, so it was pretty much destined to be my jam. And another to complete my top three would be Hands of My Heart. However, with time, my appreciation for La La Love Me only grew, and it really cemented itself as the superior banger from this album. I absolutely love the unique blend of styles and also how their voices work so well with the instrumental and synths. It just creates this really special full circle musical experience. I also have to highlight proper and quite different melodies in both the chorus and the main hook of the song, which only elevate the impact of the song.
Looking for something that elevates our timing. 그런 말대로 in those visions, 두뇌로 spring 눈부신 걸.
Actually, this might be my first time talking about Aichilin, but they really deserved the third spot with Glass Heart. I mean, what else would you expect? If there really is any consistency in all of my lists, it's that top 3 is mainly occupied by great pop rock songs, and this is no exception. So I'm very thankful I have people around me who constantly remind me to check out even the more underrated girl group releases, because this single album was quite exceptional. But I'll be honest, it was blatantly clear that Glass Heart would be my favorite and make this list because it's so bright, energetic, has everything going for it. Great production, great vocals, everything just meshes in so well and squishes my ears in all the right ways that I can even explain it properly. But when an eye-chilling song hits, it just hits, and this is a perfect example of that. I also love the XLMV. It's so colorful and fun. It really reminded me of Red Flavor by Red Velvet or Spicy by Eunice, and I love those MVs too.
I got better than better than tonight, better than tonight, better than tonight.
The runner-up of the whole summer song list is White Cat by Eve. And let me tell you, this is a banger. I might have used the word to describe other songs on this list, but White Cat is as close as you can come to one. It's in the typical Eve fashion of really catchy hooks and strong melodies, and those are only highlighted by the top-tier production by Iowa, as I've now researched is the name of her producer for most of her work. First of all, I must appreciate the true artist and visionary Eve has become in her solo career. She's got a real talent, quite unique style in both aesthetics and music, and most of all, she's just an icon. I don't know about you, but I really love it when she shows up on my For You page, both in connection with Pink Panther, as long ago they actually collaborated, or for just being a queen and not being afraid of calling out sasangs, or always coming back with new queer allegations. All in all, Eve is just a full package artist, not strictly slaying. What the hell did I just say? She's obviously slaying, but I meant that she's not trying to stray away from K-pop. But despite that, she also makes waves outside of it with her artistry. And honestly, she's all I will be thinking about if anyone says that they just need space. However, White Cat might actually be my favorite song of hers. It's so upbeat and so rich in sound that her vocals in combination with the instrumental make me think like I'm listening to a full-on orchestra performing just for me. So she absolutely deserves this space. I mean, second place.
Don't get comfortable, cause any minute now. I go MIA, I'm a go-go, I go MIA, so low and so high.
As I've previously said, even though Kitsai were partially created by Hype, They are definitely not fitting the strictly K-pop top 15, so I'm going to talk about them now. Since I have quite a rich history with them, even talking about content creating, as some of my shorts or TikToks about them went viral, I really feel obligated to talk about Beautiful Chaos. So first things first, I do prefer it to Soft is Strong. I think both conceptually and sonically, it feels much more Ketsai, and you can clearly see it in the delivery they bring to the table this time. I was never as big on Debut or Touch, and I don't have anything against those songs except for how short they are. Hype, I'm coming for you. But Beautiful Chaos, even though not much longer in runtime, goes way deeper into what Ketsai stands for and explores their sound in ways that feel both unexpected and authentic. My favorite right now is obviously MIA, which made the honorable mention, but I love every single song on the album. Really appreciate the T-Girls mention in Mean Girls, Natalie for the cultural moment it has been, Gabriella for the perfectly executed concept, and Game Boy, apart from other things, from so many memes it has spread. Icons, I love you. You are all absolutely hilarious. And truly, what a time to be a kid size stan.
You just can't forget it. You keep looking at me, keep looking at me like you wanna spend some money on me, some money on me. I'm like, how much?
From the point of view of a previous V-Light, obviously I also do have to talk about Girl Set, which is the name of their re-debut without my two biases in it. But that doesn't change a thing about me caring for them. Unfortunately, the same doesn't really go for JYP, because even though Commas as a song had great potential, it only has 2 minutes. Like, are we kidding? Where is the rest of the song? Because it is the only one under their belt, so it's absolutely crucial for the re-debut success. And since the V-Lights can't have nice things or whatever, Girlset has ditched the previous relatable quote-unquote corny lyrics for flexing with money they do not seem to have. I wanted to like the MV. I wanted to be obsessed with it because I always was with Vichas. But there is one set and two outfits, in which the girls are made to sing about having enough money so not needing any from their love interest. Where is the money then? Where is it, JYP America? And yes, they did later release a special video which works as a better MV in my eyes, but the original MV wasn't even released on the debut day. That was a performance video. So what was the point? Because I really feel like I'm trying harder to support this debut than their team, not to sabotage them. It is an honorable mention because I still like the song, because I like the girls, but I definitely don't like this direction. And if this list actually was a real competition, Promise 9 would win with Love Equals Disaster. Even though it makes me feel like a bit of a performative male, Promise 9 are really that amazing and underrated of a group. And their Hope from our 20s mini album is really one of the best we've got this year. So if this list really wasn't limited to one entry per artist, the whole mini album could have been there, but especially Revolutional or Twisted Love. Twisted Love was definitely a strong contender for making it into this list, and I'm not saying I don't like You Better. That's an amazing title track, I obviously love it. However, it was a bit overplayed by the time I've made this video, and so Love Equals Disaster ended up victorious because it's the song I listened to the most and really enjoyed doing so. Even though we've lost almost half the members along the way out of Hype's constant mistreatment, the girls still kept the heart and soul that radiates from their music and makes it truly incomparable. So I advocate for checking their music out if you haven't already. You know what they say, one from his 9 song a day keeps the doctor away. Well, at least it should be said. Anyways, the video is already long enough as it is. So that's all for today. Thank you so much for tuning in and giving me any kind of support. I'd be glad to hear your thoughts on my picks or your own favorites, because I'm sure I might have missed some. And until next time, bye!
You're the word to me. Whoa.